Alright, hey guys, welcome back. This is Jay Helix again. So today we're going to be doing a pulley upgrade on my LT4 Supercharger here that's going on the L83 truck. So basically the reason why we're doing this is a couple of reasons. So one, so the L83 truck, I want to keep the stock harmonic balancer on there. And to be able to do that, well, there's a mismatch already because this has 6+ ribs on the pulley here, and I have a 6 rib belt on the L83. So that's one reason we need to do this, is swap out this pulley with a pulley that has a 6 rib design, so I can keep the stock belt and harmonic balancer. And the other reason why we need to do this is because the stock LT4 pulley that's on this particular LT4 Supercharger is, I believe the specs were 9.7 psi with this diameter. So we need to also change out the pulley for that. Reason being that on the L83 truck, as I mentioned in previous videos, that what the goal is to do the supercharger in 2 phases. So the first phase being just the tune and the supercharger itself, and the second phase is to upgrade the fuel system. So being that I don't have the fuel system upgraded in this phase, so I will be running the stock L83 fuel system. 9.7 psi is going to probably max out the pulse width of these injectors that I got, the stock injectors. I think the stock injectors were, what was it, 45 pound an hour, maybe 100. But in any case, so we need to swap it out for that reason too. And then, once we upgrade the fuel system, get things tuned, we might start playing around with different pulley sizes. And that's what's neat about this particular pulley I got that I mentioned in one of the previous videos. So this is from ADM, and with this particular pulley that I have, I got the hub and the pulley for this. So this is the recommended pulley from ADM. You can see it's got the 6 ribs, and it's 2.8 inches, and it's meant for stock applications when you do a swap on an L83 or even an L86. But being that they give you this hub, you can change out pulleys by just undoing these hex screws here and getting different sizes. And ADM's got assorted sizes that you can choose from for the boost ranges that you want. And there's others out there. There's, as I mentioned in previous videos, there's Grip Tech and some others, but I decided to go with ADM. Alright, so like I said, the purpose of this video is this is going to be how to upgrade this pulley. And there's a couple challenges we have with this application, or this particular early model LT4 Superchargers that we've covered in other videos. But just as a recap, the big challenge is, due to me wanting to keep, the lid design we talked about needs to be short, but also wanting to keep the alignment with my stock harmonic balancer using the ICT billet bracket for the hydro pulleys. We needed the early version of the LT4 that had the snout recessed in had an offset that's more negative than the later versions of the Z06s and ZL1s. So if you remember from when we did the ICT, we looked over their swap guide. They showed that in later model LT4 superchargers for ZL1s and the Z06s, even the CTSV, the snout sticks out more, and the back of this pulley actually lines out here with the intake or the throttle body base mount here, and that presents some challenges for us because what we don't have is clearance, a lot of clearance up here, especially between here, between the pulley and the throttle body base, and between the bypass valve. And the bypass valve, we can just pull it off these 2 bolts, but we can't really do anything here. So it's going to make it challenging when you decide what tool you want to use to pull this off. And the most common tool you'll see out there people use on videos and stuff is using a 3-jaw, 4-jaw puller. And we already talked about that in other videos, so I don't want to go that route. Excuse me when I got blow my nose. Because that can present, especially the ways people use it with an impact gun, it can damage the pulley. You're only putting a grip on a small surface area back here on the pulley itself. And then also we know when you use an impact gun, that could put a lot of unneeded stress on the bearings that are on that shaft. And we definitely, this is in good condition. We definitely don't want to ruin that. So that being the case, you know, what I like to do is a lot of common tools that I see out there for pulley removal, you know, regardless if that's for an LT4 supercharger or for like a Mustang with a stock supercharger, is a clamshell style that goes kind of like what a bearing splitter looks like, but it has the profile of the ribs built into the clamp. So it clamps around this guy, and then you can pull it out like normal. So that's what I'm going to do for mine. The problem is the ones that are the different clamshell pulleys that are out there, they're pretty big. And again, working with this clearance problem, we're going to have some challenges trying to find already in a limited options a clamshell style that will fit inside here. So what I found is there's a company out there called Alta, and this is the part number here. It's XAMP ENG 208A, and this it's got the narrowest profile that I could find, but this has actually been designed for the Mini Cooper community when they're pulling off the stock pulleys on those Mini Coopers and swapping them out with other pulleys. So what's neat about this is it has the, if you can see that there, it has the profiles to fit in the rib. Diameter is probably, I don't know, between 3 and 4 inches, so it can fit various sizes. You know, like clamps on this guy really good. You can see there it fits on it well, and then we can put the bottom on, and it comes with some bolts to go into the top here to pull it off. Now the challenge still is, you know, after I got this, they didn't have dimensions on their site, but after I got this, I see that I still have some clearance issues here with this particular design. I don't know if you guys can see that very well on the camera, but basically it's there's a interference here with this throttle base body. So I'm going to need to round off this corner just a little bit. So this corner here, we're going to round that a little bit to be able to fit in between the pulley there and the base mount for the throttle body, so that way I can clamp these two together and pull them off. So that's going to be the first step for me, is to grind that down just a little bit so I can actually fit it in here. You know, once we get this fitted and we start pulling it off, we don't have to worry about this clearance as much, because I will have the room to do the rest of the pulling. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my Dremel. In fact, let me get that right now. So I just got just a basic little Dremel Accessory Kit here. As you can see in here, it's got various, you know, something you can pick up at your local hardware store or online. But I'm going to use the sand accessory here, this little sanding wheel, to actually grind off the corner a little bit. So let me start doing that. So you know what we'll do here is we'll get this guy modified so I can clamp down on it, and then we'll get this set up and we'll go over what tools are needed and how am I going to do that. So let me come back to that. I'll get things set up here, and I'll see you guys here in a few seconds. Alright guys, I'm back here. So we got the Dremel set up with the sanding accessory, or sanding tool here. So like I said, the goal is we're just going to knock off a little bit of material off this corner just to make it just slightly relieved, where we can get it inside the between the pulley and the throttle body. So I don't want to take off too much material, because I don't want to start to get into this boss here and weaken the structure of this pulley, because this is made out of aluminum, and there's going to be a lot of stresses going through these bolts as I'm pulling off that pulley, and the last thing I want to do is this thing crack. So let's fire this thing up and we'll start grinding away. Don't forget to, you know, wear safety glasses and all that fun stuff. So we're about there. Now I need to take off some of the material up here on this side, this flat plane, and we should have a better fit. What I'm doing is holding the sander at this angle on this plane and coming in, and then it's going to produce some sharp corners over on these planes, and I'm just going to continue to sand those down until it has a nice round profile. So I'm going to continue doing that just to I want to get a little bit more clearance because I don't want to rub against this base plate and do any scratching. And then what I need to do is take the upper half and round this corner off just a little bit. And this one you got to really be careful because you got this large profile here that we don't want to weaken structurally. So let me take off just a little bit. Let me fit this again, and I'll show you guys a better close up here once I get this finished. So let's take off a little bit more. Alright, so I got the bottom as good as I want it. I'm going to start working on this upper piece. Alright, so now we're there. Let me bring you guys up here. As you can see, we removed just enough material there so this guy can clear. And then now we've got enough off this corner where it can meet to the bottom there. Alright, now we can throw our screws in.
Dremel. Right.
So these are the screws that Alta provides to go on the top here for the yoke. And these are the two screws that keep the clamps clamped together. So let's get those installed. Looks like it's a 5/16. Those as tight as we can. All right. Alright, now we got a good secure clamp on the pulley. So now what I need to do is get the actual puller side set up. So let me grab that. And for this, for the puller, you know, what Alta recommends is you use a power steering puller. I didn't have a power steering puller, but I do have a bearing separator. So what we're going to do is just use the yoke and the bolt out of that. So this is the yoke and this is the bolt. So we're going to get that all squared away. And we need to get the bolts out of the bag here. I already pulled the cap off earlier. This is what the cap looks like. So it just a nose cap that fits on there like that. Basically just come in here and carefully let the pick get underneath each one of these. Probably want to do this before we get the pulley on, the puller on. Because I can't rotate it now. And something like that. It's pretty easy to pull off. You just want to be careful you don't snap any of these little clips off, because I'm going to probably try to reuse that. Alright, let's get our yoke set up here. So we're just going to use this bottom hole and that top hole. So I'm going to get I have 2 washers here. I'm going to one on this side, one on that side. So we'll get that in here. Well, I was kind of afraid of this. These bolts are not long enough. You see, this nose here hits. Let's see. We're going to have to get some longer bolts, because the ones they supply in the kit, this bearing splitter kit, it doesn't, they're American sizes. I don't think I have a bolt like this here in the garage that's longer, so I might have to go to the hardware store and pick one of those up. That way we can get this finished. Alright, so let me go look for one of those and I'll be back. Alright guys, I'm back here. It was pretty interesting. So this bolt here is what we got in the Alta kit. And it looks like it's an M10 with a 1mm pitch. So I was hoping I could just go to my hardware store and find a longer bolt. But I did. I grabbed, I purchased, I was looking at a longer bolt that was an M10 with a 1mm pitch, but for whatever reason it was not wanting to start threading in that hole. And an M8 was definitely too small, it just slipped right through. So it must be some sort of non-standard size, maybe an M9 or something special. So I had to improvise a little bit. What I ended up doing was getting a 5/16 bolt here that's about 4.5 inches long with a 5/16 nut. So basically what we're going to do is just put this all the way through and then secure it with the bolt on the back and a washer. Hopefully that will be enough. So let's go ahead and do that here for this lower one. Get this washer on. Oh. Of course, it doesn't look like. Looks really interesting. Don't know if you guys can see that. Let me move this up here a little bit. Sorry for the camera shake here, but okay, so yeah. So I won't clear this very back, but looks like if I get it started in the rib area, then we can clear that. Alright, so we'll just get a couple threads started there. So let me go ahead and do the bottom one. Alright, so what we're going to try to do is not, as we're pulling, keep that as flat as we can so these threads don't cross on the threads inside here, because we don't want to damage them. We want all the pulling to be back here on the back. So let me back up the camera. So we've got some room to work. And let's see, let's get this yoke set up. So this is our yoke that we're using now that out of the bearing splitting kit. There we go. And actually, what I want to do is I need to take these back out because I didn't put my washers. So sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is these are the washers that came with the Alta kit, and they're just a little bit smaller than I like for being on this yoke. So what I did is I was at the hardware store. I purchased some of these Fender washers, so we'll get a lot more surface area here to clamp down on. I need to put those guys on, so let's do that real quick. So we'll put 2 of these on this guy. Get that started again. Okay, let's do it again for this bottom. Alright, so we got just enough clearance there. Let's see if I can get you in there a little bit. Might be hard to tell, but turn this around. Just got enough clearance in between the ribs and these nuts and washer set up. So now let's get our try to get our yoke set up again. Yeah, we'll move that guy all the way down. There we go. we'll try to center that up, but let's get our main bolt in here first and just kind of snug it up on the shaft. So there's a little pilot hole in that shaft, and I'm going to get that guy on it. Okay. That looks good. Just make sure we're straight so we're all even there. Alright, so now we can probably go ahead and start pulling on this guy. Let's see if I got enough. Let me grab a ratchet and best fits, but try that. Alright, well, let's give this a shot, and I'm going to back the camera up so I have some room here to work. Okay, so got a 11/16 socket here. So I'm going to try to keep all this straight until we I think I'm better off just grinding that down more. I don't want to risk damaging anything here. I don't mind damaging the pulley, I just want to damage the aluminum body here. Plus I need to put some of those support washers in behind these Fender washers because they're starting to bend. Okay, go ahead and pull these off. Stick one of these guys on there. Same thing with this one. It looks like the pulley's not actually moving, it's just these washers. Let's get these guys pulled apart. You can see how much of a challenge this is, how much of a pain in the butt. And I could just say F it and get a four jaw puller, but I really don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and secure these guys back down and then grind with them clamped. Alright, so you can see here where the material is a little bit higher than the upper piece is a little bit higher than the lower So I'm going to grind that down a little bit. If I can find my Dremel. Alright, so hopefully you can see what I did, but I used the bottom as a template and just ground down this surface until it's almost aligned with the bottom one, and same with that corner. So hopefully that will give us the clearance we need. Let's pull this apart. And of course, you know, obviously you don't have to do it this way. This is, and for a lot of folks that are doing this on their ZL1s or L86s, or take that back, a lot of folks that are doing this on applications that don't need the short snout, you don't have to worry about going through all this trouble. But, alright, let's see. That's good. Still think I should take off some over here. Oh, there we go. Okay. And that gives us a good amount of room to rotate here. There's just a little bit more on this top side that I could probably take off, but let's see, as I torque this, it's going to be putting torque in a clockwise fashion, so this is going to want to rotate. So I think I probably should go ahead and remove some of that just to be safe. So we're just gonna get it more down towards this lower profile here. So I'm putting these on the very front, the very first ribs here. That's a lot better. All right, we'll leave it there and try that. This as tight as I can. Okay, let's try this again. Start off with this bottom one. see. Let's try using an impact here. Maybe that'll help me keep things. Guess that doesn't matter. You can see it's coming off now, hopefully. All right, our little hack worked. The toughest part was because this has this little roller. It wants to shift around, so I recommend if you do go this route, get one with a point. The sheet is off. Awesome. I'm glad that worked out. Some slight modifications, and all in all, it wasn't too bad. It would have been nicer if the bolts would have worked. What we got from Alta. Didn't So let's bring over here and show you what we got now. So you can see that the front is not too bad when it comes to damage. You can see where that must be a hardened ball that's on there, harder than that shaft. But you see our sealed bearing right there. That's what I was wanting to be very cautious with. Definitely didn't want to damage that guy in any way. And then our new hub is just going to be pressed right onto that guy. Let me get a T-wrench to pull a couple of those. Right, looks like those cap screws on this thing is 3mm on that. So let's pull those out real quick. Okay, so there's our hub that we're going to have to press onto that shaft. And put on the dialing table. Use the cap here that we got. Yeah, just that cap would fit right on there again. Well, okay, now's the fun part. We got the pulley off of there. Let's go ahead and pull this guy apart. Let's see if I was able to circumvent any damage. All right. As you can see, I didn't do any damage to the clamp or the pulley. If someone needs a stock LT4 pulley here that's undamaged, I got one for you. So I'm really glad I went with this method. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt to set up, but all in all, it wasn't that bad. Just required a little bit of grinding there on the ends. We can see it fits really well, and then it doesn't cause any stress on the pulley because it's all clamping against the back of that thing. and it came off really good. So I would highly recommend doing this. And again, if you have the longer snout version of these things, it'll be out of the box, would work for you. You can see how easy it was. I guess I probably should have started off the impact to begin with, but it was really simple to get this thing off once I got everything in line. So, alright, so next we'll work on getting this thing pressed on. So, you know, the ideal way to do this, probably the proper way to do this, is to pull off the snout here. So remove these bolts back there and just break the seal off that snout. It's got the RTV sealant, and then get some sort of like a bench press to clamp that thing down on. But I do have some surfaces here that I might be able to use to clamp that down on. I'll look into that. But all right, so next up is we're going to install the hub and we get the new pulley on there. So I'll see you in a few.